Hey y'all, Nico here. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm Nico. Today's video is a yoga intro video, so this video is for beginners. I'll be a little more thorough with my explanations of things, and it's just to help you get a general idea of how a yoga practice would usually go. Or if you're just starting to do yoga, I'm hoping this will be helpful and informational for you and that you'll be inspired to keep going. So we're going to start in a comfortable seated position. A comfortable seated position is whatever feels good in your body. So that may mean you can be cross-legged like me in easy pose, or you might have your legs more straight. If you are sitting cross-legged and you feel like your knees are up high, your back is rounded, it's kind of hard for you to sit in easy pose, you can grab a pillow. I would recommend grabbing a pillow for this practice anyway, just to help you modify, but you can grab a pillow or a couple of pillows to sit on, and that'll give you some elevation and help to open up the hips. But like I said before, just make sure you're comfortable. So if that's with your legs straight out in front of you or a different seated position, you're totally free to use that position instead. So we'll start seated and we'll close our eyes. We're going to establish the breath. And I usually just begin with some breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. So close your eyes or lower your gaze to the floor. Let your shoulders be relaxed away from your ears. Make sure you're sitting nice and tall, so not spine rounded. Nice tall posture. Think about a string pulling you up from the crown of your head. And we'll take a deep inhale through the nose. Fill your chest, fill your belly with air. And exhale out the mouth. Take another deep inhale through your nose. And exhale out the mouth. Good. One more inhale through your nose. And exhale out the mouth. Good. We'll release that controlled breathing and we'll come back to our natural breath. So just breathing as you normally would. But if you can, I would like for you to attempt to breathe in and out of your nose throughout the whole practice. There is a breathing technique called ujjayi breath or oceanic breath that could be beneficial for you to look into and start to practice and master. I'll link a video to my ujjayi breath tutorial. I'll link it in this video. But just for now, see if you can establish a breath in and out of the nose. If it's hard for you to breathe in and out of the nose, breathe in whatever way you can. If you need to use your mouth, that's totally fine. And then from here, we're just going to start to do some neck circles here. So drop your chin down to the chest and start to roll your head to the right. And as we're moving, we want to sync our movements with our breath. So as your head falls back, take an inhale. As your head comes forward, exhale. Good. Yoga is great for increasing flexibility, strength, mental clarity. But really, what really helps our mental clarity is syncing our movements with our breath so that we can be present in this moment and not distracted by other thoughts. It just gives us something to focus on. And that's called mindfulness. All right, let's move our head the other way, doing the same thing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale the head back. Exhale it down. Let's continue moving the other way, a couple more rounds, and syncing that movement with the breath. Good. Bring your head back to a neutral position. We're going to move into this seated twist. So extend your arms up towards the sky, interlace your fingers. Press your palms away, reaching up, breathing up. Again, making sure you're sitting nice and tall, nice long spine, straight back. Exhale, release your hands, start to twist to your right. So we're going to take our left hand and just bring it outside of that right knee or that right leg and rest the right hand behind us. Make sure those shoulders are relaxed. You can look over to the right side of the room, or if it feels okay, bring your gaze all the way to look over that right shoulder. It's a deeper stretch, but if that doesn't feel good on your body, it's totally fine to just look to the right. One thing about yoga is we don't want to force any positions. We don't want to be in any pain. There may be some tension, but we don't want to be feeling pain. Yoga meets you where you are, so there's no need to press yourself beyond your limit because it's more hurtful than helpful. So take the ego out of the practice and listen to your body. Let's take an inhale. We'll come back to the center. Interlace the fingers, press the palms away, press the palms up towards the ceiling. Nice long spine. Exhale, twist to the left side. We're doing the same thing on this side. So this time, bringing our right hand outside of our left knee. Our left fingertips will rest behind us. Looking over to the left or bringing our gaze all the way to look over the left shoulder. And it's important to remember that some poses just don't work for everyone's body. So it might not have anything to do with your flexibility. It might just be the way your body is structured. So again, there's no need to force yourself into positions. It doesn't help you at all. If it's meant for you to be in that place, then you'll earn it over time. We'll inhale back to center. Interlace the fingers, press the palms away again. Exhale, release the hands down. Throughout the practice, you'll hear me cueing inhales and exhales, but if you need to take breaths in between, that's okay too. So from here, we're going to come up to a table position on hands and knees. And we'll get ready to sit back into our child's pose. So child's pose is also known as balasana. Balasana is the traditional term or the Sanskrit term. When you hear me saying words that end with asana, that is the traditional or Sanskrit term. Asana means pose, but there are also names we've given these poses just to make it easier for us to say. But yeah, so balasana is child's pose. Our big toes will come together. Our knees will come wide for this variation of child's pose. And we'll start to sit back towards our heels, melting our chest down towards our thighs. Now, sometimes it is difficult for people to sit back towards their heels, so I like to modify child's pose with a couple of pillows or a blanket or a yoga block that you can bring underneath your hips to give you some elevation here. But it's also okay to keep your hips lifted a little bit higher if you need to. So just sit back as much as you can. Sometimes this can be painful on people's ankles or hard on your knees or your thighs. You can also float back and forth from your table position to your child's position just to help give you a break in between. But if you feel okay in your child's pose, you'll melt your chest down towards your mat. You can let your forehead or your chin come down towards your mat. Let your arms rest and just try to relax here. Let your body relax. Keep those shoulders down away from the ears. Good. Try to remember breathing in and out of your nose. It takes practice to remember. But if you feel yourself losing that breath, just come back. You can inhale. Exhale, we'll shift our weight forward. From here, we're going to move into down dog. Down dog's Sanskrit term is Adho Mukha Svanasana. So we'll tuck our toes underneath behind us and start to lift our hips up and back, creating this inverted V shape. So press your chest towards your thighs, press your heels towards the ground. Your down dog may not look like mine. A lot of times people will try to bring their heels towards the ground and it ends up leaving them with a rounded back. So it's important to note that it's okay if your heels don't touch the ground. They don't have to touch the ground. This is just how my down dog looks. If you feel like your back is a bit rounded, your hamstrings are tight, what you want to do is bend into your knees. Bend into your knees and press towards your thighs until you have a nice flat back. You still get the same benefits in this modified version of down dog. If you're not ready to hold your weight up in down dog, drop down to your knees, extend your arms forward, and melt your chest down towards your mat for this modified version, which is also called puppy pose. It's like a baby down dog. And while we're here, you can pedal your feet out a bit. Alternate bending one knee at a time. Good. And we'll make our way to standing. So from here, we're just going to walk our feet up behind our hands. And let's roll up one vertebrae at a time. So bring a deep bend into your knees, tuck your chin towards your chest, and start to roll up. Nice and slow. As we come to standing, we're going to bring the arms with us. So we'll sweep our arms up overhead. Inhale. Exhale, take those hands, bring them down to your heart's center. So bring the hands into a prayer pose in front of the heart. Inhale here. Exhale, release the hands down to your side. So now we're in Tadasana. Tadasana is also known as mountain pose. So for mountain pose, we want to make sure our shoulders are relaxed away from our ears again. We want to always make sure we have relaxed shoulders. Our palms are facing outward. Our chin is parallel to the floor, and we have a micro bend in our knees. And when I say micro bend, I mean that our knees are not locked back. We just have a tiny bend here. Should be able to wiggle those toes. So feeling grounded down through the ball and the heels of the feet. Good. From here, we'll move into tree pose. Tree pose is also known as Vrksasana. So I'm going to face this way so you can see me. So we're going to start with our hands at heart center again for Vrksasana. And I'm going to give you a couple options here. So option one, we're going to start with our right foot grounded. So option one is to let those left toes rest on the ground and let our left heel rest on our right ankle. So our left knee is outward, facing out, opening up the hip here. Hands at heart center. This is a balancing pose, a pose that's going to challenge your balance. Your second option would be to slide that foot up to your calf. The third option would be to take that foot and bring it up to the thigh. Again, making sure that left knee is pointed outward. And then a lot of times in yoga, you'll hear your instructor say, find your jishti. And your jishti is just a focal point. So you want to find a focal point somewhere in front of you, whether it be on the ground or up higher, something you can focus on, and that will help you with your balance. I'm going to come back to facing forward. So whatever you do, before I face forward, whatever you do, you just want to make sure that that foot is not resting on your knee. A lot of times I see people's foot go straight to their knee. We don't want to put that pressure on our knee, pressing it outward. That can give us problems in the long run. So again, as long as you're somewhere above or below your knee, then you're okay. Again, hands at heart center. Let that left knee point outward. Find your jishti, and you can also get near a wall to help you balance. So if you need to bring your hand to a wall while you're here in your tree pose, that's totally fine. You earn your flexibility over time. Good. Let's take an inhale in our Vrksasana tree pose. Exhale, release our hands back down to our sides, coming back to mountain pose. Shoulders relaxed, knees soft, chin parallel to the floor. Palms facing outward. Good. From here, we'll bring our hands to heart center again. We'll do that on the other side. So this time, left foot is grounded. Right toes rest on the ground. Right heel rests on the left ankle. We can also slide that foot up to the calf or grab it, bring it up to the thigh. Right knee pointing outward, right knee pointing to the side. Find your jishti, find your focal point to help you balance. And if you're wobbly, that's totally normal, that's totally fine. Again, your poses don't have to look like mine. I've been doing this for a while, so you earn your flexibility and your balance with practice and consistency. It's also normal to be more balanced on one side than the other. We'll take an inhale in Vriksasana. Exhale, release your foot down. Come back to mountain pose. Soft knees, shoulders relaxed, chin parallel to the floor. Good. Let's take an inhale. We'll sweep both arms up. Let the hands meet above us. Exhale, dive down to a forward fold. So we're going to push the walls away. Start to melt all the way down. For Uttanasana, forward fold. So for this version, I want you to bring a deep bend into your knees. Let your chest hang over your thighs. Let your head relax down. You can even grab your elbows here and kind of rock side to side, coming to this ragdoll fold. Good. Again, you can have a deep bend in your knees for this one. Good. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, release the elbows. We're going to make our way down to a seat. So heel toe your feet apart. Bring your toes a bit outward. Heels more inward. We're going to squat down. Bringing our hands behind us and then coming to a seat. But if you have a more accessible way to get into a seated position, then do that way. There's no reason for you to do something that doesn't feel good on your body or something where you may get hurt. So if you have a more accessible way for you to get there that's safe, that's always okay to do. You have options. So from here, we're going to move into Paschimottanasana, or seated forward bend. And I have a modified way I like to get into seated forward bend that makes it a little more accessible for people. Again, if you're seated here and you feel like it's hard for you to sit on the ground, or that your hips are really tight, sit on that pillow or a rolled up blanket or a block. And for this version of Paschimottanasana, I want you to bend your knees with your heels on the ground and grab the outsides of your feet. So just bend your knees until you can reach the outside of your feet. This may be a lot of stretching for you already, but if it feels okay, we're going to start to scoot our hips back until we feel a stretch in the back of the legs, in the lower back. So for this version, I'm rounding my spine, bringing my chin down towards my chest, feeling that intense stretch in the hamstrings, feeling the stretch in my back and also up in my shoulders. So remember to keep those shoulders down away from the ears as best as you can. We don't want to hunch our shoulders up by our ears. We want to relax them back and down. Think about squeezing your shoulder blades towards each other. Remember that breath in and out of the nose. Good. Take an inhale. Exhale, roll back up to a seated position. We're going to make our way down to our back for a quick spinal twist. So bend into the knees, bring the feet flat, scoot the hips close to the heels, and gently make your way down to your back, or if there's an easier, more accessible way for you to get down to your back, then it's totally fine for you to use that way. Once you get down to your back, hug your knees in towards your chest. We'll rock side to side a little bit. This is kind of like our upside down child's pose. And rocking side to side will give us a little back massage. So from here, we're going to bring our arms out wide on either side of our body, and we're going to cactus the arms. And when I say cactus the arms, I mean bend at the elbows and let the palms face upwards so that your arms are as if you were a standing cactus. Let's take our knees and bring them up to a 90-degree angle, bring them above our hips. We'll take an inhale. Exhale, let both knees fall over to the right side. So we want to try to keep our left shoulder as close to the ground as possible. You can also take a pillow and bring it underneath the left shoulder if there is a big gap between your shoulder and the ground. You can also bring a pillow underneath the knees as well if it's hard to get them all the way down to the ground. Don't ever be afraid to use props if you need them. They just assist you into getting into different poses. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, bring those knees back over the hips, 90-degree angle again. And we'll let the knees fall over to the left side. We're doing the same thing. You may hear a nice back pop here. And again, try to keep your right shoulder as close to the ground as possible. You can look up to the ceiling for this one. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, let's hug those knees back into the chest, and we'll come to our final resting pose, corpse pose, also known as Shavasana. So we'll reach our feet towards the bottom corners of our mat. We'll rest our arms at our sides, palms facing upward. And then from here, we're going to come back to those breaths we used at the beginning of class, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can also be in a seated position if Shavasana isn't comfortable for you. You can come to a seat instead. We'll take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Good. Return to your natural breath. Most yoga classes you do will end with Shavasana or some sort of meditation. And this is truly the time you take for yourself. So I want to encourage you to be in this moment and bring your attention to your breath. Feel how your belly rises and falls with each inhale and exhale. Feel the coolness of your breath as it enters your nostrils. Feel the warmth of your breath as it exits them. Allow your body to be heavy as it melts into the floor, into your mat. Just allow yourself to relax and let go. Shavasana, or our final meditation, brings our practice full circle. Reminds us of the meaning behind what we're doing. And it's all rooted in self-care and self-love. If you'd like to stay here longer, you can turn this video off now and stay here for a few more moments or however long you feel. Otherwise, we'll begin to wiggle our fingers and toes, coming back into our body, coming back into the room. And when you're ready, roll over onto your favorite side, using your arm as a pillow. Just taking a moment here to reflect on your practice and to extend some gratitude towards yourself for this act of self-care and self-love today. Take an inhale. Exhale, we'll make our way up to a seat once again, whatever that comfortable seat is for you. And all together, we'll sweep the arms up overhead. Let the hands meet up above us. Inhale. Exhale, float the hands down to heart center. And we will end our class with this word, honoring each other in a bow. So we'll take a bow and we'll end with a namaste. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me for this yoga intro. I want to note also, if you have a better word that you like to say instead of namaste, a word that's more meaningful to you, you can always end your practice with that word. I hope this video was informational and educational. Let me know if you are a beginner to yoga and it helped you out. Check the links in my description box about joining my channel as a member, and there's also a link to my DJ channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching. Peace and love.